if you've ever been on the receiving end of someone wanting you to fix them or change their energy. This is called an energy transfer, an emotional energy transfer. Now, what we're going to do here is we also want to check ourselves, but it's not a negative. We have awareness, not shame, but you got to have awareness. But if you find yourself trying to take on somebody else's energy, then this is definitely for you. Let's jump into that right now. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Positivity Experience. It's your girl, Lori. Damn, am I excited to be here, and I'm even more excited that you're here for it. It is almost fall, like literally almost fall. It is, well, actually, it probably is fall now by the time that you're listening to this. We're approaching my favorite month and my favorite time of the year. It is when my mood is the most elevated, my energy is the highest, and this was the perfect time to do this. It's been requested from clients, it's been requested in the Patreon. And the Patreon may be extremely helpful for you if you're like me and you need a place to start, because you can hear this all day long and you're like, great, but how do I start it? I love to have that worksheet there. The worksheet is only going to be as good as you use it. But if that's something that you're interested in, pop on over to patreon.com/the positivity experience. You can find it there. You can find the new website, same website, Earl. I just redesigned it. I think it's much more effective and has better energy. So jump on over there if you're interested in setting up services as far as any sessions, long-term or short-term. You can find that there. Why did I bring up energy? Because it's a real thing. Everything that we do is an energy. And your actions can lie. Your words can lie, but so can your actions. You can fake it, right? Like you can fake the movements. You can fake everything, but your energy doesn't lie. I don't care how slick you think you are. I don't care how avoidant you think you are. You're not outsmarting anyone, and neither are they. And this is going to be really important as we go through this because, yeah, it's science, but it's also facts. I mean, we are energetic beings, and it's really easy to absorb someone else's stuff because our brain craves connection. We've talked about the brain multiple times. And it is true. Like your brain says, oh, community, we need connection. But here's where the issue comes. Now, all energy transfer isn't bad, but we're going to talk about kind of both of them here. While you crave connection and while our brains go, hey, we're a space of community, you cannot be in every relationship you want to be in or every relationship that you think should be. Now, this is important when you're dealing with other people. They will do a lot of emotional projection. So this is where we're going to combine the energy vampire with just energy in general, how to protect yourself. But really, this is something for you to be aware of if you're doing it. Now, this is where we're going to combine a whole bunch of topics into one here. We're going to talk about the people pleasing and that energy, talk about taking on somebody else's toxic energy, and just overall your need for the connection, but how it's being problematic and how you can expand on it. So think of energy as this cord. Okay, it's a cord. I mean, I'm very intuitive. I have been all my life. I thrive on energy. But I'll tell you one thing, what you're not going to do is you're not going to say, but I'm an empath. Don't do that. Do not do that. You can be an empath. That is not a reason to take on somebody else's stuff or not a reason to not address that connection you have. Because sometimes being an empath, while a natural energetic response can also go into attachments, can also go into ego and lack of boundaries. Because this is where you feel the need to take on somebody's stuff, but you don't have to. So even as an empath, you don't have to take this one. It's called bubbling. Love to bubble myself. We'll go into that. But I mean, and the worksheet will help with that as well. But I want you to think about, when is the last time someone tried to project their energy onto you? What does that mean? Or what would that look like? Here's a prime example. So they had a really tough relationship. We're going to make this a love partner. We'll talk about childhood in a minute. They had a relationship. And in this relationship that they were in, doesn't matter how long they were in, the person, let's make it real dramatic, cheated, they were a narcissist, they did whatever. Well, now that person has moved on or broke up, but they really haven't worked on their things. Okay. They really haven't worked on it. and they get into a relationship with you, right? We're only talking about how it affects you. We're not worried about other people. And you're kind of like, now you don't realize this yet because you just met them. I mean, they're not going to vomit their past immediately. And if they do that, my God, that's definitely a red flag. But you're kind of going through it. All right, it's cool. Yeah, single. They tell you they had a not so great relationship. You're vibing. You're getting to learn each other. It's kind of cool. And then you notice there's some things that are starting to happen. We're checking on your socials, which always is a red flag. We're going through your stuff, again, always a red flag. And there's starting to be a lot of mistrust or a lot of expectations for you to fill their feelings, their emotions, their emptiness. So what is happening there? Yes, we know it's insecure. Yes, we know it's trauma. However, they are projecting their energy. So that's an emotional energy transfer onto you. My past relationship was crappy. This new relationship has to make up for the past relationship. This sets you up for not only a really tumultuous relationship, but a lot of resentment. Now, where that's problematic is, let's say you haven't worked on your stuff. So now you're a people pleaser, your fear of being alone, all of these things can make for an awful storm. So you come in and you're like, oh my God, I don't want them to feel that way. I'm not like them. So now you're jumping through hoops to repair their emotional energy because they have a hard time trust. So when you have a hard time with trust, there's things called low vibration, high vibration. I'm sure you heard of this. This isn't just what you guys would consider woo-woo because I'm that way anyway. That's not what this is. This is also actual science. Energy is energy. So when you see this, you're trying to repair it to let them know that, hey, I can fix you. So this is where it becomes a real bad problem. I can fix you. And the other person's like, please fix me. I need you to fix me. But now they're insecure about it. They have not worked on themselves. This is the key. Everybody has had a level of trauma. I don't care who you are. I don't care how you grew up. I don't care how much money you had. It doesn't matter. Everybody has had a level of trauma regardless. That being said, it is not anybody's job to repair yours or their energy or their past for that matter. It's not your problem. It's not their problem for you. So when you take it on, you're now going to get uncomfortable and you're like, I don't understand. Like, I'm letting them know how much I love them, how much I care for them, how important they are to me. And on the other side, they're like, well, that's what this person said. If you find that projection is based in their past, because it has to be based in their past, because if they're really working on themselves, that energy transfer is going to be from a heightened state. So we're going to talk low vibration, high vibration here in a second, because there's a high impact to it. But here's something to ask yourself. The biggest trap is assuming that your sudden mood shift is random. You're like, damn, why is that? Or worse, you're blaming yourself for being too sensitive, right? Instead, what you need to ask yourself is, did I feel this way before I walked into the room or before I had the conversation? So you check yourself. Did I feel this way before I came into the room? Let's say you did. Well, maybe you don't go into that room. Maybe you check your energy before you go into the room. So this is where your FOMO, you're going to have to put that aside. Because you might get invited places, but you can feel, man, you're like, I do not have the bandwidth. You're not even depressed. You're just like, I just don't have it. Don't force yourself to go to something because you have some fear of missing out. So you don't want to go. So you go and then your energy is low and then you're actually bringing other people down without even realizing it. So the other way around is when you walked into the room or when you picked up the phone, how did you feel? Right? This is a good awareness. Did you feel okay? And then when you walked in that room or you got off the phone, you're like, oh my God, I feel like I just got hit by a bus. Because what you have to remember is, does this shift even make sense for what's happening in your own life? Or are you taking on somebody else's? Because that pause is powerful. You want to check yourself. Don't just believe this is facts. Like, oh, my energy is a fact. First of all, it isn't, because you want to look around you and see what's happening. And you can pick up energy from anywhere. But when you recognize the shift, no matter what it is, it could be social media, it could be a parent, it could be anything. But when you recognize it, that's going to give you the space to separate that energy or their energy from your own. That's why awareness is everything, because you can't respond to something that you're not going to name. And sometimes you don't want to name it because then you have to accept it for what it is. So there is a whole big mess that we need to unbox because there's a lot happening. And that's why energy can get very contentious, that you'll know what to believe because you think it's your energy, but it isn't your energy and they're putting it on you. So let's go back to that example. They had a bad relationship, they put it on you. Your people pleasing has to be addressed. Before you go jumping into relationships, anything like that, you got to check yourself. Do not carry that into somebody else's relationship or somebody else's energy field, because now you're projecting onto them. You're projecting like, well, look at me. I'm coming to let you know that you're safe, you're secure. It's my job. So now their energy doesn't trust it. Your energy says, but I'm here. And it's just a perfect storm. Now, let's say you're not in people pleasing mode. You're working through it. You understand that that's their stuff. You also want to be careful of falling in love with the hope of them being the better person or fixing their energy. Again, when you're out of people pleasing, that's not going to be a problem. So when you see it, that's where you go, ooh, that is not something that's my responsibility to fix. Do not allow your savior complex. Again, if you're not in a healed state, this is where you're going to be. Savior complex, people pleasing, need to fix, need to have value, ego, all of those things are going to come to play. However, if you're on the other side of that, do not engage in it. It is not your responsibility for their emotional healing. And that is so important because your energy will drop. And then you'll blame somebody else, but that's not what? That's on you. When we take on somebody else's energy, that's no longer their responsibility. That has now become yours. And while we are wired for connection, your nervous system, this is just science, your nervous system responds to the cues around you. Somebody's voice, their facial recognitions or facial expressions, or even the tension in their posture. Have you ever been around somebody and you can see it? They're just very anxious. They're just on edge. And then you kind of feel like my nerves are getting frazzled. Like, why am I taking this on? Because you're seeing the action. So it isn't just even about words. If you see someone coming in very tense, or you can tell that they're sad on their face or they look angry, your body, your energy aligns with that. So your energy, if it's in a high state and you walk into a room and it's all lower vibration, you're not going to grow. This is where you've heard the saying, and it is true. You are the energy of the 5 people around you. You are the sum of the 5 people around you. So that's where you want to look. And this is where you come completely off of emotion. Put it down on paper. When you see it, when you name it, it's now power. So let's say you put the 5 people around you. Blip, 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 whoever they are. How do you feel when you leave them? Now, of course, everything is not going to be over the top. Quite frankly, you're not going to be over the top. And sometimes you are the vampire energy, your own self. So we're looking at it as a percentage, right? What percentage do you find? If you find yourself in this, let's call it low vibrational pattern, you got to ask yourself, why are you allowing yourself to be there? Okay, it's familiar. You've been low vibrational before, so it's familiar to you. Think of this. You walk into a room and you feel like, man, I'm on fire. You feel like you're at 100, let's say 90%. You're at 90 degrees. Your energy's high. You're feeling accomplished. You're like, whoa, I actually have a little bit of vibe today. You walk into a room, you're 90%. But everything else in that room is 60%, like 60 degrees. So here you come in and you walk into this heavy energy. So when you walked into that, and by the way, nobody has said a word. Nobody said anything to you, but you can feel it emanating. You can feel the complaining. You can feel the negativity before anybody even opens their mouth. You're not going to stay at 90 degrees. It's not going to happen. You will immediately adjust to that room, if not even lower. So this is where you look at it and you blame something, but honestly, it's just energy. This is why when you go in nature, and this is proven, if you're in nature, nature has high vibration. This is why your nervous system starts to cool. Your nervous system starts to regulate. Now, let's say that 90 degrees is not positive. Let's say that 90 degrees is you're overthinking it, you're doing all of these things. And yes, I realize that it's neurodivergent. It can be neurodivergence, it can be depressions, it can be anxieties. I understand that. That doesn't change the energy. I mean, it's just energy. It doesn't matter the why. The energy doesn't care the why. This is why you always want to work on any depressions, any insecurities. Maybe it's medication, maybe it's not just medication. Medication doesn't fix everything. So you want the combination of the coping strategies. Let's say though, you walk into the room and you're already anxious, you're already in a heightened state. Let's say everybody else is kind of like, okay, maybe they're not at 90%, they're like, yeah, 75%. They feel good. They feel pretty content. Here you come in with your anxious energy, and now they feel like, what? Wait, whoa, what is going on? Now your energy is lowering their vibration. It's not blame. It's not shame. It just is facts. And this is why when somebody can either give you positive energy or negative energy based on what you are allowing. We'll talk about bubbling in a minute. It's one of the best things that I can do. Because I got to tell you, no client has come to me yet and said to me, I am doing great. I just hit the lottery. I don't know what to do with all this money. And I feel so secure. What are you doing? That's not how people are coming to me. They're coming to me with heavy energy. They're coming to me with maybe it's victim mentality. Maybe it's energy that is so low, they are lost. So that is a heavy energy. I bubble myself as to not take that on. I am dealing with things that are so traumatic for many people, like family annihilation. If you don't know what that is, that's where somebody comes in and murders their whole family, or somebody's family has been murdered, right? And so it's called family annihilation, and it's usually somebody within the family. That's heavy energy. People say, how do you not let the state of the world bother you? It's bubbling my energy. Now, this is where if you go back, I did an episode on detachment. Someone asked me to expand on it further in another podcast, and I will do that. I live detached but connected. Now, this isn't an unhealthy detachment because you can tell yourself, well, I'm just going to detach from it. No, a detachment versus connection. Attachment versus connection. Connection is I love my kids, I love my spouse, I love my cats for the connection I have today. Attachment is what am I going to do without that? Two very different things. Don't attach value and worth and happiness to external things. Stay connected and appreciate them for where you are. But we'll jump into that later in a kind of a revisited topic. But you can go back and listen to the one I did. But this is where you have to say, why am I attached to hope? Why am I waiting for someone to see the light? Why am I waiting for them to get it? Why am I waiting for them to be on the energy field that I want them to be? Well, here's another thing. You can't be low vibrational and want high vibrational things in your life and then get upset when they don't happen. You got to come back to yourself. So when you're protecting your peace around someone else, it's not just a gitchy thing to say. It's not just like, okay, well, this is what we say now, protect your peace. What's a true thing? It's a true thing. And again, if you find yourself being affected, that's where you have to say, oh, and this is something that you may question or tell yourself too. If you are disconnected or detached or just going through life and you don't feel, I don't know, sad for days on end, and you don't feel as, you think, oh my God, am I a psychopath? Am I a psychopath because I'm not taking this on? Maybe I should be taking it on. Now you go through your head. Well, that just means I'm not human. What is wrong with me? That means I have no empathy. That's not what that means. That means that you can see it, you can appreciate it and be there and respect it and not take that on. So let's go into that. How do I not take on my clients' things or even just the people around me? I am very grounded. You have to remember, I have been intuitive all my life. And that has not always served me because I have taken on other things. And then you throw in insecurities, attachments, traumas. that's a bad section. And I went through that low vibrational pattern for many years. And every day I have to reset myself because I just told you I'm literally on purpose subjecting myself to that because I know that I'm actually extremely good at my job and I am able to help people with the tools I have as long as they use them. I bubble myself by going, is this mine to take on? And this is going to be important, very important for you. Is this mine? No, that's not mine. Does it feel like mine? Now, this is where it's hard for you to determine sometimes their energy from your energy. And again, just because their energy is low and they're going through something, do not become a martyr. You'll see this in your life with people who have that martyr complex, like, I'm going to take it on and repair everyone. No, that's two totally different things. You want to focus on your breathing too. Plant your feet into the ground, breathe, sit with this for a second. Is this mine to take on? And I got to tell you, like I said, I'm dealing with some heavy ass energy. I can look at it and say, well, first of all, me taking it on isn't going to help anybody, by the way. Me taking it on almost well, it does, not almost, it contributes to that victim mentality. So if someone comes and let's say they're in it's everybody else, it's what was me, it's all my childhood, it's all of these things, and I decide I'm going to help take that on for them, I've now enabled that energy and that behavior. You can have empathy from afar. You can have empathy and not take it on. Now, when you say, okay, I've had people ask me between that and taking on the state of the world, regardless, and I know a lot of you are in different countries, by the way, hello. I have a lot of people in Australia, so hello. I love everybody who listens, by the way, no matter where you are. I don't care where you are in the world. There's going to be things. There is a heavy energy. That's why you carve out space for yourself, or even put yourself in positions to where you can be around an heightened energy, even if it's just for a short time. I can't do anything about what I can't do anything about. If there's something I can contribute to that is going to help from my perspective, if there's something I can do that I can control the situation around me, absolutely I'm going to do that. But if I can't, I can't. It is a very destructive world that we live in. It is a very unsettled world in which we live in. That's going to remain. There is nothing that's going to happen overnight or even in the very short term that's going to fix everything. It's not going to happen. So what are some things that you can do, right? Now we're talking about not just people that you're in direct contact with, but the world in which we live in as a whole. Why are you contributing to your own lower energy by being on social media all the time? I have a big issue with being on social media all the time. This is why I work with people who you would see as top creators in the world in YouTube and other platforms. And they come to me to help them get off of the social media addiction. Stop telling yourself, I can't help it. Stop telling yourself, I'm only doing it for a little bit before bed. Why are you doing that? And then you're wondering why you're waking up. I don't care what you're looking at. Being online is just toxic in itself. And when I say toxic, I don't mean like, you can look at things. You can look at my short form. You can look at all of those things. That's great. Where it becomes toxic is where you're on it all the time. Where every day you're spending all this time on it. That's a problem. Now you're contributing to your lower energy. Be aware. Always be aware. Education is power. Don't stay on it. So you say, is what I'm watching or who I'm surrounding myself with contributing to raised elevation energy or lower vibration? You have to be able to name it. You got to remind yourself, this doesn't feel like mine. Sure. Are we affected by the things in the world? Yes. Are there things that can affect our money or affect our Yes, there is. You dwelling on it and dropping your energy, how is that helping you? It is not. And this is where we own our stuff. So when we're talking about taking on somebody else's emotional energy, let's say they're worried about something, their relationship. Now, mind you, it's not directed to you. Okay. They're in a bad relationship or they have all of these things going on and they don't know how to process their emotional regulation. They want you to take that on to make it better for them. Do not do that. Boundaries. This is where the boundaries for the energy vampires that we have been, by the way, you just don't want to be that all the time, and you don't want to be that now. This is where that energy has to be elevated. So when you bubble yourself, every day I get up and I say, hey, I can take on anything that the day sends my way, and I only ever have today. And then I remind myself as I ground and as I kind of, reset for the day is, hey, you are not responsible for anybody else's feelings, energy, or repair. Now mine says repair because it's part of my job, right? Like I'm not responsible for that. So I remind myself of that every single day. And then in the evening, and sometimes throughout the day, right? Depending on how bad and how not bad, but how low the energy is, sometimes I have to reset during the day. But then at night, I just remind myself, okay, check yourself. Is there any energy that you're carrying? This includes my children and my spouse and anybody around me. Is this my energy to carry? No, that does not make you cold. That makes you your own priority. And the only way that you can continue to elevate that and remain high vibrational is to protect your own peace at all costs. All costs. So, like, as you're listening to this right now, like, let's do this in real time. As you're listening to this right now, who around you, okay, who around you in your personal life do you find that when you've been around them, now this is on an average, right? Because we all have our own, not so great days. On an average, who around you do you find drops your vibration, meaning your energy? Who do you leave or hang up with that feels like a heavy, lower vibrational energy? Think about that. Now, ask yourself this follow-up question. Why am I taking it on? I can't answer that question for you. I can tell you one thing, you don't take it on because you want them to feel better. And if you're taking it on because you feel it's your job to make everyone around you happy, oh my God, get on my books yesterday. Hang up, go on my website, book 90,000 sessions, and we need to jump into that. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to convince yourself that somehow or another it's your job. So now think of that. So let's hold on to that. Okay. So you've identified who it is. You've identified the, why. And identify this now. What are you afraid of? Or what are you resisting? That's essentially what it is, of distancing from that relationship. This is in a personal setting. What are you avoiding? You want them to be better? You want them to live the life that you want them to live? No, now you got to check yourself because now we're going into control and ego. Now let's flip that the other way around. Who do you find that when you are around, they want to fix an energy of yours that may not be broken? So now you're cruising along, you're setting boundaries, you're out and you're like, damn, I am feeling good about myself. But now this low vibrational person or people, they're still vibrating low. They're not comfortable with your no. They're not comfortable with you setting distance. They don't like that. And when you're around them, you can feel your energy almost get pulled in a lower direction because they're trying to manipulate it to change it. It's essentially probably going to be the same people, by the way. Until then, what you can't do either is you can't hold to grudges. Listen, I'm all about, I know, listen, you're going to get mixed messages for this with everybody that you talk to, everybody you hear. I am all about, I'm going to let it go. I forgive it and I keep it moving. And yes, I feel, and I can tell you with my clients, I do this too. When you process the forgiveness, that's what raises your vibration. I didn't say you have to have a relationship with these people, and you forgiving people doesn't permit it. I'm telling you, until I did that, I stayed on the victim mentality. I stayed in low vibrational energy, including with my molester and everything like that. Me holding on to it and holding this grudge and then wanting peace and love, that does not happen. That it just doesn't happen. Energy is not emotional. Energy is not stemmed from emotion. It is stemmed from your vibration, and that is it. Now, you can do whatever you want. See, that's the gorgeous part about having free will. But I just want you to be aware that you can't hold a grudge and toxicity and then bring this higher vibration to you. That's not how energy works, and it doesn't care. So as I went through that, my energy raised, but you have to be extremely protective of your energy and your peace. So protect your peace isn't just three get you words that we're doing in 2025. It's not what that is. It is a fact. But here's the other side of that. You might thrive off of their low vibration and vice versa. This is why I have an issue with, say, Facebook groups or other groups in general that aren't promoting growth, because then it becomes this toxic pool of lower vibrational energy that you are like, yeah, I'm low vibrational. I want to be low vibrational. And you can see this in other people. It's not your job to repair it. So let's say you had a narcissistic relationship. So you get on this Facebook group or whatever that says, I survived a narcissist and blah, blah, blah. In theory, you think that this is good. Unless that group is getting extremely direct, extremely fast with direction and resources on how to work through it, it is not a good group. Because if it's just a group of I was a victim, me too, I was too, me too, I can't have a good relationship, me either. What is that doing? Okay, so you want to be seen. Okay, you're here now. Now what are we going to do with that? Where's the, okay, you didn't ask for that. But my goodness, you are responsible now. Where's the resources to get through that? Where's the resources to do that? Not everybody wants to get better. They don't. Not everybody is ready for it because they've identified themselves with that low vibrational energy. So when you see someone in a victim mentality or trying to appeal to duty, like, but I'm your mom, I'm your sister, I'm your whomever, when you see this, that's low vibrational energy. So are you owning your own energy? Because you're responsible for the energy that you project. You're also responsible for what you allow in. Yes, this is that bubble. Am I allowing it? Am I taking this on because it's mine? Or am I taking it on because I kind of got zapped in? That's what a toxic energy vampire is. When you or them, when there's constant complaining, you're not looking for a solution. They're not looking for a solution. They're complaining about the same thing over and over and over again. They're not taking any guidance and they're still trying to dump it on you. You are allowing that. That is not them. So don't allow that energy to be projected onto you. And if that means that you're the jerk, if that means that that relationship ends, then isn't that important to you? Not the relationship, your energy. You might have to let go. You will, not might. You will have to let go of some relationships and other situations that are contributing to a low vibrational pattern. But are you willing to do that? I can't answer that question for you. Because if you're not willing to do that, that alone lets you know what you need to focus on. If you're not willing to distance from relationships and situations as best that you can professionally, but definitely in your personal life, you can. If you're not willing to distance from that and you're worried about being alone, you're worried about all that, you are in low vibrational patterns. You want to focus on raising your vibration before we worry about anybody else. So if you find yourself being resistant to it because you feel sorry for them, you can have empathy without trying to fix it, without taking it on. Very important. Now, you're going to have people who are going to project that on you. That's the whole energy, emotional energy transfer. But I'm your this, I'm that. That's why manipulation falls short when you're solid. When you have your boundaries and you are extremely confident, which takes time, you got to be willing to do the work and do it frequently. But when you do that, it is like their energy bounces off of your shield. But until then, it's going to permeate, is that word? Inside of your energy field. Again, this is where I say, and I'm going to repeat it probably in every podcast, your healing will only be effective if you are willing to talk about the same thing over and over and over and over again. Stay on one topic before you jump to another topic, because until you do that, you have this erratic energy. It is a commitment. Working on yourself is a commitment. It's doing it when no one is watching. It's doing it when nobody understands it. It's doing it when you don't feel like it. It's doing it when you are uncomfortable, and it's doing it messy. So until you're at that place, your vibration will always be low and you will always take on somebody else's stuff. So if you've ever said, my God, what the hell? Why am I always getting in these relationships that blah, blah, blah? It's your low vibrational pattern. These people, and there's nothing wrong with these people, because quite frankly, we either are or we have been these people. So it's not, no, you're not better than anybody else, right? And that vibrational plane is just not serving you. But until you can distance from that, you're not going to grow. There's a ceiling. You can only go over the 75 degrees because it's just, that's how it is. So when you sit with that and you say, I don't know how to get to 90%, I don't 90 degrees. I don't know how to get there. Okay, well, you don't have to know how to get there overnight. Like, that's why this podcast is here. It's why the Patreon's here. That's why I do what I do in a professional setting. And there's a reason for that. Resources are there, but are you willing to take the time to notch up that energy temperature, and knowing that that temperature doesn't always stay high? One day that energy might be -4 degrees, and you're going to have to be okay with that. So you can be affected by your own energy. Yes, you can be your own emotional projection energy vampire, because your brain is in a pattern that says, oh God, we don't want to do that. It's scary. We don't want to do that. It's scary. And instead of pushing through that, you give into that. And that's just a part of life. Like, that's how your brain works. If your brain senses fear, we already know it's like, whoa, we don't like that. So even if it's toxic for you, you're familiar with it, and that energy is comfortable for you. But until you choose calm, you can say, I choose calm, even if they are chaotic. Really listen to that. I choose calm, even if they are chaotic. Now, you're not always going to be able to just avoid chaos. Bubble it. This isn't mine to take. Now, this is where you got to lower that ego all the way down. If they need the last word, give them the last word. If they refuse to see who you are, let them refuse to see who you are. That's how that goes. That their opinion, their energy is not indicative of where your energy could be. But the next time you notice yourself shifting, you got to ask yourself, is this mine, or am I carrying somebody else's storm? Stop being their umbrella. That doesn't make you an asshole. That doesn't make you wrong. That means that you are protecting your peace. You can't keep giving your umbrella to all these people who aren't popping their own umbrella or aren't finding their own umbrella. Because then you're enabling that energy while lowering your energy. And then you're upset because, quite frankly, you've outgrown that energy. You've outgrown that chaos. But you're not quite at that point where you're willing to distance. That's what you need to focus on, like right now. I mean, it's not going to be overnight. Why aren't you willing to distance from it? Because you're mean. So be mean. Be mean. Because quite frankly, until you're allowing yourself to be mean, be the villain, be the problem, you are keeping your energy at a low vibrational point, and you are telling yourself, I don't deserve to have a higher vibration. I don't deserve that. Stop waiting for somebody else's emotional energy to go away. You're looking for that energy to be positive and outgoing. Now, the other side of that is the emotional energy transfer can be spectacular. It isn't all negative. It can be over the top amazing, to where you always, okay, I'm going to use that word always because it's black and white, but what it is true. You always want to, as best as you can, because my God, you're not going to be able to avoid lower vibrational people in life. But as much as you can, you want to be with people who are promoting your own growth. They don't have to like it. They don't have to love it, but there's a high level of respect there. Because remember what I said, true love is saying, I love you. And if I'm not part of your journey, I love you and I want what's best for you based on what you think is best for you. That's high vibration. Low vibration is don't leave me. It's not shame, but it's your awareness. So if you ever go, why can't I just move forward? Because you're allowing yourself to stay in a low vibrational pattern. So this high vibration, I've said this a million times, unless you're paying me to be in a room to give a talk, I want to be I'm going to use the word dumb. I want to be the dumbest, or I want to be the less educated person in that room. I don't want to walk in there with a ton of knowledge. I want to walk in there with a basis, and I want to surround myself with people who are doing the damn thing. They are doing it. They are farther along than I am. They are in a better position than I am. That's who I want to roll with. I'm not insecure in that. I want that. That elevates me. You don't ever want to be the smartest person in the room unless you are paid to be the smartest person in the room, not even smartest, to have the most knowledge on something. That doesn't mean you're the smartest. So if you find yourself needing to be the smartest, then that's also a problem. You'll find people who are very entitled. You'll have people who look down their nose at people who think that they're superior. This is where you see the people at the grocery store, and they take their cart, they take their little buggy, their cart to their car. They leave it where it sits because obviously it's not their job to do it. They're more low vibrational than anybody around them. Because here's what the fact is. No one is better or less than another person, ever. So when people start to see people as less than, that's an issue. Terry Crews, I'm sure if you don't know who Terry Crews is, go look him up. He used to be a football player. Now he's an actor. Well, he moved him and his family out to California after he's no longer in the NFL, and he was a janitor. And he was a janitor, and his statement was, I was going to be the best janitor as though they were paying me $1 million an hour. I showed up and I wanted to be the best at what I was doing. Other people might look at that and be like, oh my God, he was a janitor. Yes, he was. What, does that make him less than you? Hell no. And this is where you got to check yourself and say, why am I trying to achieve a level for someone else? I'm going to take a page out of Terry Crews's book. This is not my saying. This is Terry's, and I'm going to flub it up anyway. Do everything in your life as though you're getting paid $1 million an hour to do it. Show up at 100%. Don't just shit on things because you think, well, yeah, that's just what people do. Really? Because you've been depressed for the last 10 years. So now you're brushing your teeth every day. That's great. Brush your teeth like somebody's paying you $1 million. Don't just tell yourself, well, yeah, that's what people are supposed to do. Stop doing that. You're allowing yourself to be in a low vibrational pattern. Sure, you want to be consistent. Yes, that's great for you. But never deem yourself as less than somebody else. And if you find yourself, because not everybody's making you feel that way, they could just be confident and you feel that way. Let's not make it seem like people are making you feel anything. They're not. So when you sit there and you say, wow, this is like when you have a hard time taking a compliment. Oh my God, that's a nice dress. You immediately go, oh my God, is it like, ugh, I don't like that compliment. You're just in a low vibrational pattern. That's what we want to work on. So when you're owning your own energy, you're not leaving interactions drained. You want to leave them aligned with who you actually want to be. This is where you've heard people say, live the life like you want, like who you want to be. And it's true. Look forward. So the days that you feel like you can't function, and sometimes you ain't going to be able to. That's where don't give into it. I mean, that's a one-off. That's where you want to make sure if you're medicated, take your medicine. If you are in that dark place, we got to focus. Listen, I don't care how dark it can be. And I've been in dark worlds. Even if you stand up and go sit outside, preferably go for a walk, but maybe that's too much effort. Maybe you just get up and you just go sit outside. Take your journals, which, by the way, the 5 journals are going to be available for purchase. That's the 5 journals that are extremely transformational and effective on my website in the very near future. It's very beneficial. So you go outside, you sit there, you sit with your journal, and you write your feelings. Stop trying to solve them. Stop feeding your own victim mentality. Woe is me, woe is me. I can promise you I live that way, and it is so toxic. I live that way of, why did this happen to me? Why did mom die? Why are these things going on? Why can't I do this? Why am I here? Oh my God, so low vibrational. And at that time, I didn't really have direction out. I definitely wasn't medicated at the time. And so it was almost as though I was feeding it because it was comfortable for me. And I firmly believed it. I wanted better, but all I could do was be negative. You're not going to, and listen, some of us, we have a negative mind. Go back into a few podcasts ago. We talk about that. There is a way to shift it. And that's why in my 5 journals, the negativity journal and the data dump journal will always fill up faster. If you, and again, it's all about separating. There's a whole thing. There's going to be a book with it. Not my book. It's going to be a book explaining it. But you have to be okay with understanding that your brain is going to be wired right now negatively and your vibrations are going to be low. And in order to elevate it, it falls back in your lap, which is a beautiful thing. You are in control of the energy that you allow inside of you. That's just a fact. So you need to get very clear. Why are you on social media on a regular basis? Go on there with intent. I do a Sunday live on TikTok. That's fine. That's not scrolling. Go to YouTube, look up the specs for the new iPhone, look up the recipes by all means. Go into your following tab on your social media. You follow people for a freaking reason. Stop staying on the main discovery pages. Go make sure that who you're following, you're like, oh, wow, okay, I'm either getting education or entertainment on it. Education, entertainment, that's it. Go on there, set a timer, 5-10 minutes, never in the morning, never at night, because you're going to lie to yourself and you're going to lie to yourself on the worksheet and everything of I don't have time. You do have time. You're allowing yourself to stay in a low vibrational pattern. So get clear. What in your life is contributing to a low vibration? And are you afraid to elevate that vibration because you're afraid of, quote unquote, losing people? They're not keys. They're not property, but you're afraid from distancing. And that's sometimes where people struggle with their growth. They're like, I don't know if I'm ready to do that. I don't know if I'm ready to let go of that relationship. Then you're going to remain in that. But do not allow yourself to take on anybody else's energy. Stop doing that. And I think the awareness is going to be the key. And your energy may have thrived off of other people's lower energy because that's where you are. Their healing is theirs to do. Do not walk into a relationship when somebody hasn't processed their stuff, and don't get into a relationship until you've processed yours. And that's how you align in an energy that is compatible for you, that is in alignment with you, that is promoting your growth and elevating you even higher. Because sometimes the people who are going to elevate you the highest are not related to you. It's a big thing. You've heard people say in business, your best clients are not going to be people you know. They're not. It's going to be strangers. Those are always going to be your best supporters. Why? There's a combination of reasons. So know that. So check yourself. What energy am I projecting out? What energy am I allowing in? And am I allowing that energy transfer to happen? And if so, what am I doing to prevent it?